In this video, we're talking about the third of the three freedoms, which is actually, in my opinion, the most important freedom to achieve in order to receive the other two freedoms. So first and foremost, a great big congratulations if you've got to this third video after video 1 and video 2, where we spoke about the other two freedoms. The first freedom we discussed was debt freedom, which is the freedom that tricked me. Then we spoke on yesterday's video about the second freedom, which is financial freedom, which is the freedom that everybody wants to see. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the third freedom, which is the freedom that I hear close to nobody ever speak about. It's very rare I ever hear anyone talking about this freedom. And more importantly, this freedom is the most crucial freedom in order for you to achieve any other freedom. This freedom is the freedom, if you achieve, you exponentially expedite the speed at which you can achieve financial freedom and also debt freedom. So what is that freedom? That freedom is life freedom or living freedom, which I otherwise just call living for free. Now, to start with, let's talk about what living for free actually is. What does it mean? Okay. Living for free is when you are able to construct or structure a financial situation so that your primary residence, which for most people is in the top 5 of their largest expenses. And out of all of your largest expenses, it's the one that you can literally have the easiest and simplest impact on the quickest in life. But effectively, living for free is when your largest living expense, which effectively is your mortgage or your rent, is paid without you having to do anything to pay it. Okay, so I want you to think about this, and I'm going to go through 2 examples so you get this super clear before we even go into the deeper elements of the things we're going to discuss here. So let's think about this for a moment, all right? Most human beings, if we ask them to write down their largest expenses in a month, most human beings, one of the first things they will write down will be their mortgage or their rent. Most human beings will then go on to write down something like their car. If you're one of my US brothers or sisters, right? If you're one of our family from the USA on the other side of the pond, a lot of the time in America, people take car notes, which means they're basically paying for the car every single month. So that usually comes in close to the house or the mortgage, right? As an expense. Some people have student loans, okay? So these are some of the things that most people, if you ask them, what is your largest expense each month, people will write down. But time and time again, when you ask your foe or friend, they will say to you, it's their mortgage or their rent. Now, what's interesting, example number 1, most of us start our life inside of our parents' house, okay? Which literally means most of us start our financial race not having that financial burden, specifically the financial burden of paying for rent or a mortgage. Okay, so this is example number 1. Example number 1 basically states that your best shot at your best life, your best shot at achieving financial freedom, one of the times in all of our life cycles, is when we actually live with our parents, or when we actually live at home, when we're so young. And for some people, they're not so young living with their parents, but when we're so young that all of the revenue we can generate or create can go directly onto our own plate. Okay? It's not necessarily assigned to anyone else straight away. So that's example number 1, the simple, easy one, which hopefully you've got straight away. And you're like, yeah, Samuel, that's true. Like when I was living with my mom, or when I was living with my dad, or when I was living with my parents, I had no home expense. I had no mortgage or rent I had to pay. So that could be an additional $600, £600, an additional $1,000, an additional £1,000, an additional, depending on your situation, $4,000, £4,000 you didn't have to actually pay each and every month going out. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's go into example number 2. And what we're going to look at with example number 2 and example number 3 specifically is we're going to be talking about how to hack this. All right. So we're going to be speaking about hack examples. So, for example, if you were able to buy a property, okay, let's say you bought a property, and let's say the property you bought for £100,000, and we're just making these numbers up simple and simply so that they can be easy for you to understand the constructs behind what's happening with living for free, okay, or life freedom, okay? So how do you start to live for free? Well, one of the ways you live for free is by what we basically would call real estate arbitrage, okay, property arbitrage, or another way of saying it from across the pond is house hacking, okay? But there's different methods and methodologies of house hacking, and house hacking can get really, really complex or really, really simple. So again, just follow me through this example. So let's say you go and buy an apartment. It's your first ever apartment, and you buy this apartment for £100,000, okay? And let's say after you pay your deposit, let's say your deposit was like £10,000. If you're using something more strategic, if you're in America and you're using an FHA loan, you might be paying 3%, 4%, which is literally a £4,000 deposit to get, or $4,000 deposit to get a whole $100,000 property. Okay, so that's again if you're out there in the States. If you're here in the UK, then you might find Help to Buy and some other schemes. There are multiple schemes. There's a myriad of schemes, but let's just use Help to Buy for right now. You might use Help to Buy in order for you to put down a 5%, 10% deposit. So let's say you're putting down 10,000. Maybe you're putting down 4,000, but let's just say you're putting down 10,000 in order to buy £100,000 or dollars worth of property. Now you get your apartment, and let's say you've bought a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment. Let's call it a 3-bedroom apartment, so we're underestimating. Okay, so with your 100,000, you bought a 3-bedroom apartment. You've put down 10,000 as your deposit. Now you go and get your monthly mortgage, and let's say through the mortgage product that you get, you have to pay $1,000 or £1,000 every single month. So your monthly mortgage is $1,000 every single month. Okay. Now you realize that, oh, I was on this video where Samuel I Can Win was explaining to me that I can actually, and if you're here for the first time, my name is Samuel I Can Win Win. How rude of me to not introduce myself. I help people create consistent and then colossal cash flow using resources and revenues hidden in plain sight. So if that sounds of value to you, then feel free to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can stay up to date with all the videos. All right, let's keep going. So you say to yourself, well, hold on a minute. I watched this video where Samuel was breaking down how I can house hack and start to live for free. And based on that, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to live in my 3-bedroom apartment on my own. I'm going to rent out my other 2 rooms to lodgers or to tenants or to guests, however you want to do this, right? A few little sprinkles there. Anyway, let's say you get 2 lodgers and each lodger is paying you £750 per month or $750 per month, right? Now let's do some maths. Your monthly mortgage is $1,000 every single month, but you've got 2 rooms being rented for $750 every single month, which means you've got coming in every single month before you do anything, $1,500, and you've got out as the part of that financial construct, $1,000. There's an extra $500 there for you to potentially pay all of your bills, and now you're living for free. That's living for free. Now, why is living now, here we go. See, you can see I'm already super excited about this, right? So why is living for free the key to being financially free? Living for free is one of the biggest keys to being financially free, because the moment you remove one of your largest expenses, i.e. your monthly living expense in rent or in mortgage, you get to keep all of that money for yourself. But not only do you get to keep your $1,000 that you would have been paying for where you live every single month yourself, you also get the freedom of knowing where you live, which for most people is a very important construct and concept for their life. You don't have to worry about it going away. You don't have to worry about it saying bye-bye. You can now build reserves. You can now save if you desire. You can now allocate if you desire. You can now invest if you desire. That $1,000 every single month that was going to go towards your mortgage, so that by the end of a year, you've got $12,000 as a new deposit on a new real estate asset. And you can literally go and buy second house and third house and fourth house and fifth house, or second apartment and third apartment and fourth apartment and fifth apartment. And it goes on, right? Now, for those of you who are like me, okay, so we did example number 1, living with your parents, because it's super clear, so you can get exactly what I'm talking about. We did example number 2, which is kind of like a mini house hack, where we're renting out the rooms to lodgers, so you can see how it can be extended, right? But there's going to be many people out there who are like me, all right, who are happily married, who have got children, maybe multiple children like me, and you're saying to yourself, hey, Samuel, that can't work for me. Okay, Samuel, how could it be? Okay, because you don't want to live in a flat or an apartment or a condo with other people in rooms next to you, because your spouse and your children might be in the house, okay, for example, right? So if that's your thinking, that's cool. Let's go into example number 3, because I just want you to get a real clear flavor and taste of how this works, because the moment you recognize how this works, the moment you can go and do this, your whole life can change. Because again, as I mentioned a moment ago, one of your largest expenses can be eradicated simply because of one strategic move. So if you followed me in the video from yesterday, and if you missed the video from yesterday or you hadn't seen the video from yesterday, the moment you finish watching this video, go watch the video from yesterday where I break down financial freedom, and then the video from the day before where I broke down debt freedom, right? But if you have been following along the thread, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand that your best shot at your best life is literally in your hand right now. It's literally right in front of you right now. If only you take the step and approach this from a strategic standpoint where one move can make the rest of your finances for the rest of your future extremely smooth. So let's go into this third example. So if you're someone like me and you're married, you've got children, you're saying to yourself, you know what, Samuel, that can't work for me. I can't stay in an apartment or a condo or a flat. It's not going to work for me. So here's what you can do. If you're someone in the US of A, you have what we call a duplex structure of properties, okay? In the UK, we don't have quote unquote a duplex, but we have something similar, which we don't call duplex, right? We just have what we call semi-detached houses, okay? So again, you can buy two semi-detached houses that are next to each other. That's one way, but let's just follow the concept of a duplex. Now, for those of you who are watching this who are from the UK, you don't know what a duplex is. A duplex is two houses that are built together. They're just effectively a semi-detached pair of houses, but they're built to be sold typically to one owner, okay? Typically to one owner. Now, you might buy a duplex for many reasons. Most people tend to buy duplexes because they might have a large family and they want to live in one side, they want their family to live in the other side. Some people buy duplex properties because they want to live in one side, they have elderly parents, they want to put place in the other side, right? But the ultimate hack is to buy a duplex and to live in one side and to rent out the other side. In the UK, one of the things we have purpose, we have developed, we have houses that you can split into flats. Let me just put it that way, right? Just to make it super simple, because I want you to get exactly what I'm talking about. So in a lot of towns in the UK, you will find, in a lot of cities in the UK, you'll find the old school houses that some people have converted into flats. Now you can buy the whole house, live in one flat and rent out the other flat, okay? And it's the same thing because you're buying one entity, the house, but you're renting out one entity, one of the flats, and you're living in the other flat, right? So these are converted houses. Now, the maths applies exactly the same. Let's do the maths exactly the same. Let's say you go and buy a duplex. Let's say now you buy the duplex for 200,000. When you buy the duplex for 200,000, again, if you're in the States and you use an FHA loan, for example, 3% down, you are going to be paying 6,000 down as your deposit. Let's say you're in the UK and you're using a 10% help to buy. You're buying this house, this property, right? And at 10%, you're going to be putting down £20,000 for a £200,000 house. Now, mind you, let me share this. Certain houses converted to flats, if you are attempting to purchase them as a first-time buyer, it's not going to be classified as a residential purchase. So you got to be mindful of this. It may end up being classified as a commercial purchase or other purchase structures, right? But just follow me with this. If the purchase you're attempting to make, and this is just some ninja stuff for those of you who are literally on the precipice of doing what I'm talking about, and you realize, oh, wow, so I got a stumbling block, I don't know what to do. I just want this video to be through and through. If, for example, the property you're attempting to buy to fulfill this strategy of living for free is deemed as a commercial property, what will happen is your lender or the bank, your solicitor, will ask you to put down a larger deposit. So typically a deposit for commercial property in the UK is 35% of the purchase price, okay? 35% of the purchase price. So if we're talking about, for example, a £200,000 property, now we're talking 60 plus 10, 70,000 as your deposit, okay? Now that doesn't have to be a problem. Why? Because you can generate that 70,000 over time. You can generate that 70,000 in different ways. That doesn't have to be the problem. And if you are thinking to yourself, wow, 70,000, that's a lot down to put down as a deposit, subscribe to the channel. That's even more of an indication. You need to subscribe to the channel to figure out how you can make 70,000, or even better, just write in the comments, hey, Samuel, can you do a video on how I can generate £70,000 as a deposit for my next property purchase? Okay, let's just do it that way. Now, you put down your deposit, whether it be 35% commercial, whether it be 10% first-time buyer, etc. Now, from your £200,000 purchase price, the rest of that, outside of what you pay for your deposit, becomes your owed loan. Now, let's say your monthly mortgage now is 1,500 a month, or let's just double it because we doubled the purchase price from the apartment earlier. So let's just double the mortgage amount, right? So let's say you have to pay £2,000 every single month. £2,000 every single month for your duplex. $2,000 every single month for the duplex. £2,000 every single month for your house that's split into 2 flats. £2,000 every single month for 2 houses. Now you guys already know the rest of the game. The second house, you rent it out. You achieve 2,000 plus. Let's say 2,000, 2,300. Let's say it's 2,000 every single month on the house next door. Your house. You now have tenants, residents paying for both properties whilst you live in one of those properties. Now, mind you, yes, you are going to have to pay your own bills. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. What you just did is super ninja. It's okay. You're going to get paid for the rest of your days. Okay. But now what's happened? Now what's happened is you have circumvented the situation where you had to pay out 2,000 every single month. And now the 2,000 you get coming in every single month, maybe from your job, maybe from your entrepreneurial endeavors, maybe from your investments, that now doesn't get gazumped every single month into your personal private mortgage payments. And instead, that can be utilized, saved up at the end of 12 months. That's a new $24,000 or pounds that you can use to do some more rounds. Okay. This is the conceptual idea of living for free. Now, why is this so powerful? I'm going to now connect this with the last 2 days videos to help you understand why this is so powerful. If you're someone like me, who a number of years ago, I was super focused on debt freedom, thinking debt freedom was the key for me, and you haven't yet discovered, well, the first thing you should discover is if you focus on becoming debt free, the only skill you're going to discover is the skill of paying somebody. Okay? Because that's what debt freedom is. Debt freedom is you going out of your way to practice how to pay. Okay? And as I shared in that video 2 days ago, one of the biggest challenges with debt freedom is even if you hit debt freedom, you're only at 0. And like one of my mentors once said to me, there are people who are homeless who are debt free. Okay, so being debt free isn't the badge of honor that many people think it is. That's the first thing. And then I shared in a video yesterday about financial freedom. Financial freedom is being able to generate more revenue than the amount you spend, okay, as a construct, financial construct. So think about that, okay? What's the fastest way to achieve both of those two kinds of freedoms we just described? The fastest way is to eliminate, eradicate, exterminate your largest expenses that you would otherwise incur. And if one of the largest expenses you would otherwise incur is your mortgage or your rent, and you can eradicate that, you now put yourself in the perfect position to start to very quickly achieve financial freedom, and then further on from there, debt freedom. So the challenge we have is we've been lied to. We've been lied to and deceived, and we've been made to believe that we need to first focus on becoming debt free. And this is why I first and foremost congratulate you for taking the time out, watching this video, taking the time out, watching the other 2 videos, starting to realize that the only problem is not the fact you don't know enough. The only problem is not the fact that you haven't worked hard enough. The only problem is not the fact that the world is against you. It's actually the fact that we've been miseducated through our school system. I should know something about that. I used to teach in schools, A-level and secondary maths. But we've been hoodwinked into believing to pursue freedoms backwards. And you and I both know that if we pursue even the right thing the wrong way, we aren't going to get the right thing on any day. You have to pursue the right thing the right way in order for the right thing to finally be able to pay. And this is the challenge. The challenge is so many people with good intention, good hearts, true sincerity, real energy have gone into the marketplace of the world attempting to win, believing they'll win, but they've just focused on the wrong thing. They're focused on debt freedom, thinking they're going to achieve financial freedom without even being aware that first they need life freedom. So my admonition to you today is get focused on living for free, because living for free could be the biggest key for you to be financially free. This is Samuel I Can Win. I'm signing out. If something in this video was of value to you, hit the like button. If you know somebody who needs exactly what we shared in this video, then share this video with them specifically. All right, you don't need to share this video in some big WhatsApp group. Just share this video with the person you know who needs this most so they can grow. And then last but not least, if you know that this was of value to you and you want to get more value like this to you, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can get this daily value every single day I drop another video. As I usually say, remember, small keys open big doors. Good day, God bless. Let's go.